Hi, my name's Robert Gallimore. I am a former Army officer. I served in the Welsh Guards for 17 years, and we're here talking about the legislation that would include torture as being exempt from future prosecution.
I'm Kolbassia also, and I'm a torture survivor. This legislation, sickening me, frankly speaking, and I lose, sleep, just thinking about it. And because I came here as, somebody that, fled persecution, and I, got protection. I got a chance kind of to start a new life. And I'm really, proud, and I'm really grateful, for that, for the UK. And I always regarded the UK as a leader when it comes down to, upholding the absolute ban on torture. And, that's one of the things that, attracted me to speak out against torture, to do everything that is in my power, that I cannot be silenced. And, supported, this country when it comes down to, the voice of survivors. And also I was appointed a preventing sexual violence initiatives of our champion. So all those, taken into consideration. Yes, I understand that, sexual violence is excluded, after that legislation. But, torture
is as bad.
Yes, I think we are regarded as a global leader. And this legislation is putting that, image under threat. Because how could we ask other people accountability when we change, a legislation to suit us?
And Kolbassia, what you have to understand is those wrongdoers who we are forgiving, exonerating, are despicable people. I mean, I served in the British Army. I come from an Irish background, but I served in the British Army that had outstanding standards. And when it goes wrong, and it has gone wrong in British units where people have tortured, people have abused, it has happened because they are badly led by bad leaders. Don't change the rules, get rid of the bad leaders. They shouldn't represent the British Army. This is a terribly arrogant thing to say.
Absolutely
but
right.
In the units I served in, torture couldn't happen. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Bathurst would not have allowed torture. Lieutenant Colonel Angus Fair would not have allowed torture. Lieutenant Colonel Angus Watson would not have allowed torture, because that isn't the way we work. If people do allow it, they're the wrong uns who should be called out and prosecuted. Don't change the rules and say it's sometimes okay.
No, it's not. No, there's no sometimes okay. It's absolutely wrong, and it should be stopped. One forward, and also I think the other side of the thing, that the message that we're sending to like a torturing state, where they can take that legislation as a template, and then like embedding in the domestic legislation. And as survivors, it takes us many years, before you're able to speak out about, what happened to you. And by the time that you're able to speak out and you want to seek justice, gone. So we're not going to get the justice that, we really deserve. And, those people will just carry on doing the thing that, they're doing, because, the system is there, is protecting them. And at the end of the day, it's us, citizens and those kind of things will be suffering from something that is coming from here.
It's coming from the worst people in the world. I mean, the decision in a position of power to exert controlled pain on a position of weakness is like a serial killer. And we hate our serial killers, yet we're trying to excuse our paid servicemen who do this. At what point is no one sort of reminded, this is not the thing to do? This is there is a debate about why we're worrying about torture when we will happily kill people, but we won't allow the controlled inflicting of pain upon people. The difference is when we kill people, they are threatening our life or other people's lives. If you are in a position to torture a human being, that victim of torture can threaten no one. The only threat in that room is from the torturer to the person who's about to be tortured. It is
Absolutely.
the lowest point of the human soul.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
And the fact that this government of this wonderful country is going to ensconce the ability to sometimes say that's okay is disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah, let me show you this example here. As you know, as a child, I was sexually violated by a peacekeeper during the civil war in Chad in the 80s. It took me over 30 years, to come in term to be able to speak. The first time that I start acknowledging that's in 2012, when then the foreign secretary Lord Hague launched the global fight, the UK global fight against sexual violence. That is the moment where I felt that, right, I think the UK is doing something about that. I'm gonna be part of that. I'm gonna be part of the fight. For me, that is torture. I have been tortured with that idea in my mind for many, many, many years. And we're setting up the same thing that will happen. It's part of prevention. If people see that, oh yeah, if I do that, I'm going to end up this way. You prevent people to think twice before acting, before torturing people, and we are losing that with that legislation.
But torture is such a, horrors can happen in the aftermath of intense fighting. They don't happen when it's all calmed down. They don't. And people who conduct pain for whatever justification in those quiet moments are criminals. But if you're wearing a uniform and you commit an act like that, must be held to account. Otherwise, that uniform is meaningless. It's
absolutely
the person with no threat to his life, with a cup of tea in his hands, who decides to, even if it's just deny basic rights to a human being, all the way up the scale to torture, to cigarette burns, to rape, to whatever. That's different.
Yeah.
That is individual responsibility. That
Absolutely.
is individual responsibility, and you should be called out for it.
I think also, to understand the impact that torture leaves on people till the end of your life, because you're not going to get rid of the trauma, rid of the impact, the aftermath of the torture, regardless, how long you go through rehabilitation. Will only give you tools and clues to adjust, and when you feel
come back.
Come back, so that you deal with it. That's the tool that rehabilitation gives you, and also it gives you the power to go back and then you restart from zero.
The state justify it in the most absurd ways. Would you torture somebody? I mean, the ridiculous argument I often hear is, okay, you say torture is wrong. What if a terrorist knew the code for a bomb that was in Canary Wharf that was going to kill 6,000 people? Would you torture him to get the code? It is just reductio in absurdum. It is a stupid argument because it would never, ever happen. Yet they use that argument to justify torture in much more very real circumstances. I think allegedly it was legal, but Guantanamo Bay was worse than any Al-Qaeda cell group. The French Foreign Legion throwing FLN fighters out of helicopters into the Mediterranean was worse than any FLN cell. And, the act of torturing sends you backward. Waterboarding in Vietnam got very little actionable intelligence. What it did do was make a lot more Vietnamese join the Viet Cong.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it doesn't serve your objective reinforces the point that the people who are doing it are just, I hesitate to use the word, but it's evil. It's a channel for evil, for people to do it in suits or uniforms. Evil people torture.
It is, and my hope, really, my really strong hope is that, you know, the UK uphold its position as a leader and, you know, minimum to exclude, you know, torture from this legislation.
It would break my heart if we pass this. I'm not going to do it so soon and throw my medals in the river, but I buy into this country, and if we say it's sometimes okay to torture, I think I'd buy out. I'm done.
I think you know, I respect this country and I'm very proud of that. And also, you know, I admire, you know, like the army officers and all those kind of things. I think, you know, they're putting their life on the line, you know, to create a better, you know, the better world. And, you know,
but I think this legislation devalues army officers. You know, we're people who are meant to be above this. It's never okay. It's never okay to torture.
No, it's not, absolutely not okay. That's the first time that you know, I'm meeting, you know, a military, you know, having a conversation. You know, it's really great.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, thank you.